This is DJI's new Mini 5 Pro, the brilliantly updated latest version in its incredibly popular Mini series. It had some big shoes to fit, as the Mini 4 Pro was an incredibly popular model, but DJI have managed to fit in some great new features that rightly puts the crown on this new king of the Mini series. A larger 1-inch sensor giving superior stills and video in all conditions, but especially in gloomy or low light. And with that, of course, it made sense to bring in the nightscape low light obstacle avoidance found on the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro with its forward-facing LiDAR for obstacle avoidance in near total darkness. And another function from the Mavic 4 Pro is this, the rotating gimbal. 225 degrees of rotation giving true vertical shots, as well as the ability to capture amazing full 180 degree rotating shots when you've got your creative hat on. But despite the heavier camera and gimbal, somehow DJI have even managed to squeeze in some more features, including improved active track with full auto mode for amazing change in perspectives and angles whilst it's tracking you. OcuSync 4 Plus for fantastic transmission even over difficult terrain when you've got lots of trees around, and Wi-Fi 6 fast wireless file transfer, and even these finally push on, push off props to make life a little bit easier if you have to change them. The Mini 4 Pro was an amazing bit of kit and was my favourite model for 2 years. So is this model worth the upgrade, and how does it compare? Well, let's take a closer look. So here is the most anticipated consumer drone release of the year, new DJI Mini 5 Pro, the latest iteration in a long line of mini-series drones from DJI that let you fly in way more locations due to the lower weight. Now, it has been a full 2 years since the Mini 4 Pro was released, and in that time, the Air 3S and also the Mavic 4 Pro have also been released with some pretty cool new features. So there was a high level of expectation about what DJI were going to be able to carry over and pack into the new Mini 5 Pro. Fair play to them, they've actually managed to do a fair bit. So today I'm going to go through what they added and improved with the Mini 5 Pro, how it performs, the quality of the stills and video, how it compares to other models, and finally what considerations you might have in deciding whether or not to upgrade or not. Lot to pack in, so let's get straight onto it. Now, we all knew a sensor upgrade was on the cards, and sure enough, DJI have taken the same sensor from the Air 3S and put it straight into the Mini 5 Pro. So yes, the Mini 5 Pro now has pretty much the same camera as the way bigger and more expensive Air 3S's primary camera. A full 1-inch sensor with 12 megapixels native resolution, utilising a quad Bayer overlay to output 50 megapixels stills and 4K video. The larger sensor with larger pixels is all about getting the very best results even in low light conditions. And as said, with low light filming and photography, DJI had to carry over the new nightscape low light obstacle avoidance system brought in on the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro, complete with forward facing LiDAR and downward infrared obstacle sensing, so you get obstacle avoidance in near total darkness. And in a nod to the flagship Mavic 4 Pro released earlier this year, they've carried over a 225 degree rotating gimbal, giving you true vertical shooting for full resolution portrait stills and videos, and of course the ability to produce full 180 degree rolling shots for some pretty cool effects. They also managed to squeeze in a few other bits and pieces as well from the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro, including an option to auto power up and power down when you open or close the rear legs, along with O4 Plus signal transmission. And of course, it wouldn't be a new release if they didn't manage to squeeze in a little bit of extra battery flight time. 5 minutes, okay, it's not much, but it's in the right direction. So now the spec flight time on the standard battery is 36 minutes or 52 minutes with the Plus battery, meaning in real world flying, you get around about 27, 28 minutes on the standard battery and over 40 minutes on the Plus battery. So yes, the Mini 5 Pro does have a plus battery option for longer flight time and slightly higher max speed, but again, they won't be available in the EU or the UK so that it can keep its C0 rating. And on batteries, the Mini 5 Pro batteries are the same size as previous model batteries like the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 3 and the like, but they are 6 grams lighter than Mini 4 Pro batteries. And whilst you can seem to use Mini 4 batteries in the Mini 5 Pro, which is good if you've got a plus battery already, you can't seem to use Mini 5 batteries in your Mini 4 Pro. Not sure why you would, but you'll just get an error message and you can't take off. Anyway, look, digressing. There are a few different options available for you to buy. It comes with either the newer N3 remote, that's the one without the screen, or the existing RC2 remote, the one with the built-in screen. And for those of you who have got the new Mavic 4 Pro with the new RC Pro 2 large controller, yes, the Mini 5 Pro can be linked and controlled by the RC Pro 2 controller as well. There are 3 Flymore combo versions where you're going to get the drone, 3 batteries and charging hub, ND filter set, which is very nice, the carry case, and either the N3 remote, the RC2 remote, or you get the RC2 remote with the plus batteries. So they're the different options you've got. So look, fair bit they've managed to pack into this little beast. Same camera as the Air 3S's primary camera, same nightscape obstacle avoidance as the Air 3S and Mavic 4 Pro, and a similar rotating gimbal like the Mavic 4 Pro. So all impressive stuff. And perhaps you can see why they finally also changed the colour of the Mini 5 Pro, steering away from the pale grey of all the previous iterations of the Mini series, and they've gone for the darker grey, maybe aligning it more with the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro. So that's the headline changes. How did it actually perform? Well, as should already be clear, I have put in a lot of time and effort into testing and filming this review. So first off, do me a huge favour, give me a little thumbs up on the video. It really does help the video along, especially if it's done early along in the video. As for how the Mini 5 Pro itself performed, well, let's start off with that all-impressive camera. The 84-degree field of view is a little wider than the Mini 4 Pro. It's the same as the Air 3S, as is the f1.8 aperture and the 24mm equivalent lens. The camera itself carries over most of the Air 3S's specs and features. Stills are produced at either 12 megapixels or the high-resolution 50 megapixel output. And as usual, DJI have made good use of the quad Bayer technology, and if you go pixel peeping, you will see far more detailed resolution in the higher 50 megapixel mode pictures. ISO values are also the same as the Air 3S, as are the shutter speed ranges, and the video specs are also pretty much the same as the Air 3S, with either 1080 or 4K available from 24 to 60 frames per second, and slow-mo right down to 120 frames per second in 4K or 240 frames per second in 1080. But one improvement over the Air 3S is down to, of course, the rotating gimbal, and you now get genuine 4K video in vertical mode, which is a really nice bonus. MP4 video can be recorded in normal, HLG or D-Log-M. So for me, this really was a huge camera upgrade, and I was already happy with the Air 3S's camera, and now that's sitting on the Mini 5 Pro, really could not be happier. These evening and nighttime shots I took down at Brighton Beach show just how well the Mini 5 Pro performs in low light and at night. Both for stills and video, I was more than happy with the results. Sunset gave you full colours with the 14 stops of dynamic range, giving you brilliant skies with no colour banding, and even the dark parts of the pier that should have been blacked out in the shadow still showing up clear detail. This is HDR, high dynamic range, in action. And after dark, the results were still brilliant. Bright, clear and still, full of colour. Zooming in, you don't see any noise and the resolution stays super sharp despite it being a breezy evening and it being way after sunset and quite dark. But it wasn't just good at night either. Up in the Lake District, I had some pretty overcast conditions, and again, it performed amazingly well. Scooting along under the clouds at the Kirkstone Pass near Ullswater, you can see how it handled the bright white of the cloud against the darker landscape below. Absolutely loved the clarity of the ground here, and it made for one of my favourite shots of the entire trip, all dark and moody. Absolutely loved it. Speaking of dark and moody, the conditions were not that great when I tackled Striding Edge climbing up to the top of Helvellyn. Striding Edge is a really exposed rocky ridgeway that is always windy, even when it's not windy anywhere else. A crazy pathway with strong winds blowing up the slopes and over the ridge, and again, the Mini 5 Pro handled the wind amazingly well. The wind rating is spec'd at 12 metres per second, which is a surprising jump up from the Mini 4 Pro spec of 10.4 metres per second. And that actually matches the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro specs. This time round at the summit of Helvellyn, it was really windy, and the Mini 5 Pro still managed to perform without any issue. And it was genuinely amazing to watch it handle the strong winds up there. I have to admit, the old stomach was turning a little bit because retrieving it from down the mountainside would not have been fun if it had blown away. Having faith in your drone's ability to return safely in strong wind is key for me and has been the deciding factor whether or not to take the Mini 4 Pro or the Air 3S up a mountain. Taking the Air 3S's camera and putting it onto this new Mini 5 Pro makes a huge difference, and it will easily be the drone I use when I'm out hiking now. So as you can tell, I was more than happy with how it performed. So let's take a closer look at the camera itself and the gimbal, which of course is one of the new features on the Mini 5 Pro. Now, as said, it's pretty much the same camera as the Air 3S, but mounted on a scaled down version of the Mavic 4 Pro's rotating gimbal. So the gimbal does rotate nicely. You've got the new gimbal cover, which clips onto the underside and also straps into the air vents at the back. Better protection all round, but still fun, as you have to get the gimbal aligned before you can clip the protector on. The rotating gimbal has 225 degrees of movement, which is primarily for giving you that vertical shooting ability, but it also lets you have fun going right upside down with a full 180-degree rotation that you turn by holding the C1 button down as you move the rear right remote wheel. The full suite of camera modes is available there too, quick shots and master shots, including the new rotate quick shot, which first appeared on the Mavic 4 Pro, and that allows you to set up a precise shot that makes use of the rotating gimbal and setting up the speed and direction of travel as well. You've also got the full suite of panoramas, including my favourite, the free pano mode, that lets you set and assign the start and end points of the panorama so you get precisely the shot you want. Active Track 360 has also been upgraded with improved tracking, and I did really have fun testing this. Up on the South Downs, I did my best to try and lose the drone when trying to follow me on the bike, but it kept up with me all the time. They've increased the maximum tracking speed to 15 metres per second in open areas where you don't need obstacle avoidance, and certainly the tracking capability was spot on up on the Downs. Taking things a little slower when I was walking with Ted up in the Lake District, there was absolutely no problems there either. I was engaging the full auto mode for it to make its own turns and positional movements without any input from me at all. Key feature here was the sloping hillside with circular movements that could have ended up with the drone hitting the ground, but of course it didn't. And again, being able to have faith in the obstacle avoidance is key for getting good results in my books. And of course that goes for nighttime flying as well. In my tests, the LiDAR forward-facing obstacle avoidance worked flawlessly in near total darkness. In darkness, the upwards, rear and sideways obstacle avoidance stops working, but the forward LiDAR and the downward infrared carry on sensing even when I was wearing a black jacket in the dark. It saw me every single time and stopped every single time. And another great feature brought over from the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro is the new upgraded Smart Return to Home feature, where it will track back as it sees fit when it's on low battery or lost signal, rather than the standard rising up to the preset return to home altitude and flying back in a straight line. With this feature, you get the ability to also take off without full satellite lock, which is normally something I absolutely warn against doing. But in some areas where the GPS is not great, like in near tall buildings or up in the mountains, it can actually be a really useful feature. You see here, even without any GPS lock, you can see it setting the home point the moment you take off. Once up in the air, it quickly acquires the full GPS lock, which it then uses in conjunction with the recordings it made of the surroundings as it took off. That way you get the very best return to home route, and it is really clever stuff to make sure your pride and joy never gets lost. Now, with the new push-on props comes the possibility of new sound, and when I was unpacking the drone, I could see an embossed 81 dB mark on the base, so I figured a sound test was in order. Side by side, it was hard to say which was louder, as they both sounded very similar, but the Mini 5 Pro definitely has a slightly lower pitch, which always seems to be more pleasing to the human ear. I was always happy with the quietness of the Mini 4 Pro, so to have it just as quiet with the new Mini 5 Pro is absolutely great. Having a slightly lower pitch is an even better bonus there. So look, fair bit to unpack there. Despite DJI sending this unit to me in advance a couple of weeks ago, everything I'm saying in this video is absolutely my own thoughts and experience. If something isn't good, I would absolutely say so. So, is there anything actually I don't like? Well, I'd be lying if I said I like the new gimbal cover, but in truth, I don't think I've ever had a gimbal cover that I have got on with DJI drones. In fairness, as long as you get the gimbal lined up properly, it does clip over, and this one does give good all-round protection for the gimbal and also the props as well. And a little surprisingly, it seemed to be a little overweight as well. When I weighed the Mini 5 Pro, it came in at 252 grams without any micro SD card, despite having the C0 EASA classification on the underside of the unit and the box itself. Now, on checking my previous Mini models, it seems the Mini 4 Pro actually came in at the same weight, 252 grams, whilst earlier models like the Mini 3 and the 4K were well under. Now, tiny details, but weight does matter for these models. Now, DJI have confirmed that production batches may vary by up to plus or minus 4 grams from the spec'd 249.9 grams. So it does apparently remain certified as a C0 model. Which is a little bit surprising, but there we go. And finally, perhaps not quite as important, the carry case as well. It seems a bit larger than it actually is necessary. And it's still got plenty of space once everything, including the batteries and the hub, have been packed away. Now, it's probably down to personal preference, but for me, I would have preferred the case to be as small as possible. But again, obviously, minor little things. It also seems to have more functions up its sleeve that have not yet been developed. So on the side, you have got this mystery little button, which, there we go, you can see the little button there. At the moment, at the time of filming, this has absolutely no function whatsoever. Wouldn't it be nice if this was going to end up being a bit like the Flip, where you've got that button and you can actually set it to do semi-autonomous shots like follow me and record or dronies without needing the remote as well. Nothing on DJI from that yet, but there's clearly more stuff to come with this little drone that hasn't yet been released, which is kind of good, sometimes a little bit frustrating. But performance-wise, it's the honest truth that it either matched or exceeded my expectations in pretty much all areas. I still can't believe they've managed to put the Air 3S's camera and LiDAR obstacle avoidance and squeezed in a rotating gimbal and still managed to increase the flight time. So, with all of that, the crucial question that many of you will be asking is whether or not it's worth an upgrade if you already have a drone. And of course, that is not a straightforward question. It's not enough just to rely on your phone's camera, and in my humble and probably biased opinion, an aerial perspective from above is always going to be the best angle to take that shot. That is why I love drones, and that is why the Mini 5 Pro is now such a fantastic little bit of kit for me. So if you have got the Mini 1, 2 or 3, then it really is a brilliant upgrade that makes perfect sense and would be very worthwhile. It's not so clear if you have the Mini 4 Pro, as I was always very happy with the camera and quality of pictures and video that I got from that model. But there's no doubt to me that the Mini 5 Pro does bring an impressive upgrade over the Mini 4 Pro's 1/1.3-inch sensor. So if stills and nighttime flying are your thing, then the Mini 5 Pro will still be an absolute worthwhile upgrade. And of course, if you have a larger drone, especially from the Air 3, Air 3S or the Mavic 4 Pro, then this would be a brilliant companion that can be controlled by your existing remote control, be it the RC2 or the RC Pro 2. It does seem to me that they have taken the very best and most useful features that were practically possible to transfer over from the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro and packed them into this new model. And that is no mean feat for me. So to me, it really is a brilliant upgrade to the Mini series indeed. But of course, that's my view, and as ever, I'm always interested to hear what you think and have to say. Let me know what you think. If you already own a drone, then let me know which one you actually own and what's your thinking and reasoning as to whether or not you're going to upgrade or not. It's not just good for me to read, it also helps everybody else who's reading through the comments and will help them make their minds up as well. So look, as I said, if you haven't already, thumb me up, help the video along, hit the bell to get notified when I put more stuff up. I hope you have not fallen asleep with this, I'm guessing, quite long video. As I said, hopefully you made use of the chapters if necessary. But look, either way, until next time, have fun, happy flying.